All right. What's going on, my beautiful people? So we're gonna be reacting to Young Don. I agree with him half of the time I don't. Sometimes he just be talking. But nevertheless, we're gonna be reacting to a video of him reacting to a video. MAGA loves to hate black people. Let's see what they talking about.
Loves to hate black people. The video by Jew Almighty. All right, let's go ahead and check this out, man. Why are white conservatives so obsessed with black people? This is a question that we've all asked. Why are they so obsessed with us?
Why you so obsessed with me? And boy, I wanna know.
The institution of slavery
That's
is
a
not
that's a
evil.
White people. They gonna say Young Don used to do animation. I don't know if he still do it not, but that was a good ass edit.
Are obsessed with black people.
If I see a black pilot, I'm going to be like, boy, I hope he's qualified.
Which is why racists exist, because in order to be racist, you need to wake up every day and just continuously think about why you don't like a person or a group of people based on the color of their skin.
It is not inherently evil to own another human being.
Black people want to be left alone. They don't want revenge. They don't want to replace us, as some extremist groups have said. They just want to live life in peace.
Between the racist text messages that keep leaking from MAGA and the Republican Party.
One of the messages referred to black people as monkeys and watermelon people.
To right-wing podcasters trying to justify slavery and being touted as national heroes, even though their content purposely demeaned and demonized the black community.
It just shows they were actually better in the 1940s. It was bad, it was evil, but what happened? Something changed. They committed less crimes.
Bro, but also, this is something that needs a dedicated video. This idea that black people were doing better in the 1940s or the 1950s is also false, by the way. The poverty rate for black Americans has gone down significantly since this golden era of the 1940s and the 1950s. The poverty rate is lower. Black home ownership is up. The percentage of the black community that has a college degree has gone up. The amount of black billionaires, the amount of wealth in the black community has increased. Literally in every single metric that actually matters, the black community is doing better now than it was in the 1940s and the 1950s. This is a bullshit talking point that is pushed by black and white conservatives alike. And they push this to try and make the argument that all of the advancements that we have made as a society in regards to civil rights and equality have actually been detrimental to the black community, and we were better when we were enslaved. We were better off when we were under the oppression of Jim Crow. This is the argument that they're trying to push, but like everything else they push, it's a lie. It's just not true.
Maybe they were afraid. I mean, 4,000.
I guess I got something to say on that. It is exaggerated, I'll say that, when people make those type of comments. But it kind of depends on where you're coming from. Like when you thinking about, I guess, Christians or people who believe in the Lord or just family in general, I believe the family unit had a better, stronger suit in the 60s, that time and era then, than we are today. And then onto the civil rights issue, the issue with the civil rights movement, it wasn't really tailored to black people. So today, people of other communities and elsewhere are taking advantage of civil rights, where civil rights aren't really benefiting black people as much as it did back then. It kind of really bit us in the foot when you look at it. Also in those times too, when we think about places like Black Wall Street and stuff like that, when people were segregated, when blacks was on one side and whites on the other, you have to also think about it like this. That was a time where blacks together were really making a lot of money. Now, I'll give it to you. There was still a lot of poor black folks in that time. Absolutely, 100%, for sure. But when you think about a black collective getting together, building banks, building institutions for the black conglomerate, they did that shit. And they flourished, and family was big. So it just really depends on the perspective that you're coming from, why people say that we were better off then. And another thing too, just consider this, just really consider this. there was a lot of black people that didn't really fuck with Martin Luther King's dream. They didn't want to hold hands with white folk. They were cool with being segregated because they could do their own thing. They had their own thing going on. They knew not to cross the tracks. You know what I'm saying? The issue was, in which where I'll agree with, probably Don agrees with this, is when we cross the tracks, we shouldn't be getting lynched, killed, or police fucking with us. Like, that shit shouldn't have to happen. Because, not to say there was no black people fucking with white folk that crossed the track, but most times black folk wasn't trying to fuck with no white person, even if you crossed the track or bought product from us. So there's just things to keep in mind of why people say that. It's kind of one of those things. I understand why they're saying.
Black men, women, and children were killed in violent lynch mobs.
That's your explanation.
It's very clear at this point that conservatives have a weird obsession, not only with the black community, but with trying to find some way to rewind the clock to make us subservient to them. There's no doubt about it. That's what they mean when they say make America great again.
White people are obsessed with black people, which is why racists exist. Because in order to be racist, you need to wake up every day and just continuously think about why you don't like a person or a group of people based on the color of their skin. In response to my video about the young Republican group chat in which they joked about racism, anti-Semitism, gas chambers, I got several responses like this saying, "You're acting like black people don't talk about white people the same way we talk about you in your group chats. Black people do not think about white people.
We don't.
At all.
We don't."
Like,
Cap. Hey, listen, it's Cap. It's Cap. Now, we don't think about them every day, 100%, but they don't think about us every day either. They just happen to be thinking about us that day. You feel me? But to say we don't say shit like that, yes, the fuck we do. Quit the bullshit. Quit lying. We make all kinds of jokes. We say all kinds of fly shit, especially when they not around. And then if it's just one of them that come to the cookout, we asking all type of invasive questions, all that shit, bro. So stop it. Y'all, this is what I hate. Y'all really do want to act like victims. Y'all want to act so booty hurt all the goddamn time. And pay attention to this. People who act booty hurt or they offended what a motherfucker said. I didn't heard about what the young Republican boys said. It wasn't offensive, hell yeah. But me, I'm the type of nigga, you crack jokes back at a motherfucker like that. Even though we may have similar ideology, right? You crack jokes back at a motherfucker like that. I wouldn't eat at the table. I wouldn't invite him to my house or anything, but damn, it's not that deep. It really isn't that deep. It really isn't. Grow one. A lot of people are spreading rumors and saying that these people are like people who are in office or in the government. No, they're just well-known Republicans. That's it, or well-known conservatives. And yeah, man, just take heed of that. That's all I got to say about that.
Literally, if white conservatives and racists stop obsessing over black people and harassing us, we would not talk about you niggas at all, bro.
and I know that's probably hard for you guys to comprehend because you think about us so much.
Right.
Our lives do not revolve around what white people are doing, what white people are saying. We do not talk about you guys when you're not in the room. We don't talk about you even when you are in the room unless you do something.
Cap.
Half of the commentary you see from black people, including myself, that is online, comes in response to you guys doing or saying some crazy shit.
Cap.
Exactly.
And in reality, the only thing that black people want is to be left.
Co-producer is going to give you unique sounds that actually fits your track in seconds. Let me show you. First, left
alone by white people, but you guys won't leave us alone because you think about us.
Yeah, like black people, we don't give a
The motherfucker, it be these motherfuckers start crying about being left alone. And when they finally leave you alone, you'll call that racist too. I call a spade a spade. This is what I don't like about the other side. Cause fucking crybabies need some titty milk. Who gives a shit? Really, at the end of the day, who gives a shit? Y'all niggas be on here crying.
fuck about white on white crime. We're concerned about the school shooters and the mass shooters and because y'all are fucking terrorists, the people who do shit like that. But it's not like, oh, what are we gonna do about these young white incels that keep killing children? Like, black people are a very mind your fucking business kind of people culturally.
I give them that's true. We ain't worried about the white on white crime, and they do care about it more than we care about their shit. I give them that one, 100% for sure. They think about, you know, our black. That's the main thing you will hear from the white people that do worry about black folk every day, because they out there. You know, I'll admit that there are some out there, but as a whole collective, when we say white folk, black folk, and this is why I get mad at, you know, even black people that say, you know, YNs is on the epidemic. That's not true. Like everybody in the whole wide world that's happen to be black ain't about that life. Ain't out there trying to murder folk. It's just not fucking happening. But you know, yeah, we not worried about that shit. What's going on over there? What you got going on over there? Y'all fix what y'all got going over there. On over there. We'll fix what we got going on over. End of the day, point blank beer. So I agree with one on that.
And if you don't believe me, maybe you'll believe someone who looks like you.
Black people want to be left alone. They don't want revenge. They don't want to replace us, as some extremist groups have said. They just want to live life in peace, the way they want to live. They want family, they want love, and they want to live in a society where they know they belong here. They want society to also know that they belong here.
That's not culturally a thing that we do, but apparently it's something you do, so you think that we're sitting around pondering about what you're doing. This goes back to why white women think that they're the managers of the world, so they can come question black people and what they're doing. You can stalk us outside. You can have all these thinks and thought pieces about how we exist. And it's like, I've never really understood it, but it's because you guys are infatuated with the idea of, one, us being free citizens to think, vote, have jobs, and make money. Two, we're not subjugated by you literally like we used to be. Three, it's like a weird obsession where you want to be liked by us and you want us to think that you're cool. And four, a combination of all the above. But sorry, to answer your question, no, we do not have group chats where we sit around talking about white people. I hope that helps you on this beautiful Sunday. Stay blessed.
It's hard for anybody to argue that there is not some weird obsession with the black community. And all of the racist group chats that have leaked, from the young Republicans
just referred to black people as monkeys and watermelon people
to Paul and Gracia, it is clear that we are living rent-free in these people's heads for some reason. It seems like they're constantly trying to find a way to put us in our place or down our history and our heroes.
But I can say declaratively, this guy is not worthy of a national holiday. He is not worthy of godlike status. In fact, I think it's really harmful.
And it's even to the point that they've used black people to create some imaginary boogeyman that's trying to find a way to get back at white people and take the country over.
Mr. President, I implore you, call for a civil war and let us do our thing. Let us go door to door, street by street, and clean this country.
Which is why you have marches like this.
White man, fight back!
I started looking into the topic a little bit more. For many, it's not genuine fixation on black people as individuals, but rather a set of harmful behaviors and beliefs, including cultural appropriation, fetishization of black bodies, and the desire to control or exploit culture. Whitewashing culture. In music genres like rock and roll, hip hop, white artists have often borrowed heavily from black artists and receive more recognition and profit. You can especially say that with rock and roll.
For sure.
He says he has the blues, but he has a lot of fun, oh baby.
In the 1950s, a white record producer named Sam Phillips was working on rock and roll.
Let me show y'all a fucking YouTube short I saw last night that this clip reminded me of.
Girl that a wham in a circle, even if a little make it jump like a hurdle. Girl that a wham in a circle.
Then you see bro hit it with the seasoning.
Yeah. Take me through that, take me through that. Even if a little make it jump like a hurdle. Girl that a wham in a circle, even if a little make it jump like a hurdle.
Look, this nigga, see what I'm saying? And that's funny. That's funny as fuck. But see, you make the same jokes. Don't tell me you don't do this when nobody not looking. You're a liar, Don. You be making them same type of jokes. You be making them same type of jokes, my nigga. I make them too. It's okay. I love y'all white folk. I love y'all. But listen, don't be over here lying, cuz. You be making them same type of jokes. Don't be over here crying. Nigga gonna cry if a white boy called you a nigga. You know you're gonna cry. Man, come on, bro. It's not that deep. I promise it's not.
And then you go to the comments.
That's just funny,
bro. You go to the comments, and then this comment right here. The first group was actually fighting off bees. That shit killed me, bro. I must have been laughing for like 5 minutes straight, bro. Tell me that doesn't give you the same feeling as this.
He says he has the blues, but he has a lot of fun. Oh, baby.
In the 1950s, a white record producer named Sam Phillips was working on rock and roll music from black musicians.
Imagine being able to build a nap with your name on it, just by thinking about it. Meet Base 44.
Musicians across Memphis. He realized that if he could get a white person to sing this style of music, he'd be a billionaire. He tested this theory with a singer named Elvis Presley, who was an instant success.
It's 1956, and Elvis Presley just made over $1 million from a song called Hound Dog. The world is calling him the king of rock and roll. But a black woman named Willie Mae Big Mama Thornton wrote and first recorded that song. Dominated the R&B charts for 14 straight weeks.
Wow.
Her payment? $500 total.
God
She
damn.
never saw another dime, while Elvis built an empire on her work.
Soon, more and more white musicians were promoted, and the black musicians who pioneered the music were left behind.
Teams of scouts monitored black radio stations around the clock.
You see, and then the white supremacist loves to talk about how black people are trying to steal credit from white people when we see this shit like literally in our face. Your greatest rock artists, your greatest musicians, they literally carbon copied the shit that black people made. And then, of course, you innovated on that and made your own variation of it. That's definitely very Caucasian and doesn't at all sound like what black people are making. But your shit came directly from black people. I'm saying if it wasn't for black people, bro, there would be no Led Zeppelin. There would be no rock and roll. There would be no punk rock. There would be no country, bro. It's like you can thank black people for these genres that you call white culture.
Armed with recording equipment and direct phone lines.
It's a fact. Except country music. I don't know where we lie in country music. I don't know. That just can't move my soul for some damn reason. But everything else out there, rock, blues, shit, hip hop, jazz, shit, pop, boy. We in pop too, cuz. Hey, we the needle on that motherfucker. I give them that.
To A&R departments.
Wow.
The moment a black artist started climbing the R&B charts, these vultures would swoop in. Label immediately calls their stable of clean-cut white artists. Rush released the sanitized version and flood white radio stations, while the original gets buried in segregated markets.
It was one of music's greatest ever injustices.
Adopting trends without acknowledging roots. We saw that recently. I guess the big one recently was the Renegade dance that Charlie D'Amelio stole from another girl and ended up being the most famous person on TikTok.
One of the most
for sure.
popular people on the platform, a girl named Charlie D'Amelio, who has nearly 30 million followers, is widely credited for starting the dance, but it was revealed this week that it was actually created by someone else. Jalea Harmon, a 14-year-old girl from Atlanta, is the one who choreographed the dance in her living room.
Is anyone surprised? Good white folk that are watching this, do you see the problem here?
And posted it to TikTok. No. But as bigger pages posted their own versions and got all of this attention and fame, her video only had 13,000 views. On TikTok,
what the fuck that got to do with the white girl? What they got to do with her? If you said this back in the day, 1940s, 50s, 60s, okay, you know what I'm saying? It's probably, some shit going on. But now it's like, bro, it's all algorithms. Like you get seen or you don't. How did white girls steal that shit from her? She probably just copied the damn dance and she went viral for it. It's like the whole fog thing. Like who really made that up? Was that rapper named Sada Baby or the guy who does reactions or whatever? Who really made it up? Who really made it poppin'? See, me, I always thought that came from Sada Baby, but in reality, it came from the other dude. I don't know his name, but you know what I'm saying? I saw his video. It just happened. That's just the world we live in today. This is my problem. Y'all always cry. Everything is racist. Everything is racist. That's my issue with y'all, my nigga. Y'all gotta stop that shit. Like the whole white world is not out to get you, cuz. Then nigga talking about good white people in the comments. Come on, cuz.
creators on smaller apps. Popular teens on TikTok see these dances when they're already gaining traction underground, bring it to their audience, and make it mainstream while taking all the credit. And these white influencers continue to make money and get opportunities off of choreography they had no part in creating.
Same exact story, different generation.
She's just not, but she's not supposed to do the dance because some black girl did it first.
Black artists have been getting robbed of their earnings and legacy for over 75 years. Roots in slavery, where labor and our bodies were exploited through assault, perpetuate stereotypes. Today, this manifests as racial fetishism and dating, where black people may be pursued based on racist stereotypes rather than as complex individuals. What was the scary movie? The Sunken Place. You know, she was just.
but let a movie cast a melon.
I became the #1 rep in every industry I sold in B2C and B2B. I eventually became one of the top 50 salespeople.
Melanated person, not even just a black person, but just a melanated person in the role of somebody that history tells us was European, and white people start losing their fucking mind. Oh my God, the injustice, the inhumanity of it. They're trying to erase us. When your whole fucking shit is just stolen black people shit, bro. Let's call a spade, bro.
Suing black guys because they wanted to kidnap them for their talents or physical attributes and replace them. Get out, thank you. White savior complex, which is interesting. You know, anytime you hear stuff like that, you know all the white savior movies that came out about troubled kids in high school living in the hood, and then a white teacher comes in and saves them and makes the whole school better. Sunset Park, Dangerous Minds, you know, the white savior movies. The narrative of white savior reinforces the racist idea that people of color are helpless and depend on white people for their well-being. I always wonder, have any of these racists that's always spouting nonsense online ever even interacted with a black person before? Or do they just have the impression of who black people are based on what they've seen on TV or the internet? So to them, all black people are criminals.
1,000%. You know, I once spoke to this white Christian guy who acknowledged that he used to have white supremacist or racist views about Jewish people and black people, and I asked him, hey man, so what is it? Why is it that, because this person, he came from a country where there's a very, very, very small black population. He's not from America. And I asked him, so what was your basis of your hatred for black people? And he was like, well, I just thought y'all hated us. I thought y'all hated us, and so I hated y'all. And then when I asked him, on what basis did you think we hate y'all? Well, on what basis do you think like black people just walk around with this hatred for white people? And he couldn't really articulate a good and clear reason. And I think deep down, it's because they understand that if the tables were turned, they would feel 100% justified in hating the other race that enslaved them and oppressed them and has just been so brutal and inhumane to their people. White people, I think, are bewildered by the fact that the grand majority of black people literally don't walk around like pissed off at the white man. Yeah, we talk about racial injustices because it's not fair that my white neighbor who has the same financial portfolio as me, or even a worse credit score, less money in savings, makes less money salary-wise on a monthly basis, but yet he can get approved for a loan that I can't get approved for, right? He's more likely to be approved for a loan that I wouldn't be approved for. And even if we do both get approved for the loan, more than likely he's going to have a lower interest rate just because he's white. Are we wrong for saying that's fucked up? Are we wrong for acknowledging that and saying that should change?
Reinforcing negative ideas. When black people are consistently portrayed as unintelligent, criminal, or hypersexual, it reinforces racist fears and negative perceptions among white viewers. And this type of portrayal goes all the way back to 1915.
Sure.
The Birth of a Nation is widely identified as one of the most infamously racist films ever made and a powerful work of white supremacist propaganda. So
and of course, that's the other side of it. On one side, there's the white guilt, and they know that it's fucked up, which is why you see such an effort by white conservatives to erase black history and hide black history, because they know how foul it is, and they know that black people have never received justice in this country. Literally nothing, not a single policy has ever been passed to try and help specifically the black community. Affirmative action.
Yeah, not even the civil rights movement.
DEI, anything access to welfare, all of these things have benefited every group that gets the label minority. And you know which group of people that has benefited the most? White women. And white women give birth to who? White men. And so indirectly, white men still are the primary beneficiaries of all of these policies like DEI and affirmative action. So black people have gotten zero justice in this country, and they're aware of this. They, on some level, they know this, and this is what fuels white guilt. If you want to get rid of white guilt, guys, just give black people reparations. Make some kind of
It's too late to get reparations. I just want y'all to know. For those who think we finna get any type of reparations, we not. It's just not. We would have been got them by now if they was gonna give it to us. We're not getting reparations. Once you ingrain that in your mind, you'll realize at the end of the day, you're just gonna have to get this shit on your own. I wanted to say something on the credit scores, but one of them finished on that. I don't know how accurate that is or the baseline or of those statistics, because you really have to deeply break those down, especially on where we are today in 2025. Right? A lot of things are a lot different. When the credit score system first came out, I would, yeah, man, that's probably true where a lot of black people are getting denied. But when you look at these car loans, high interest rates, you got to think about the credit score these people are applying at. It's just a whole bunch of factors that go into it. What does their credit profile look like? It's a whole bunch of factors that do go into it. But that's not to negate or not say that that's not happening. What I will say is, even if we start the race behind everybody else, find a way to come in first, man. You're doing all that crime, bickering, hollering, talking about, oh yeah, white people need to give me this, white people need, the government need to. They not finna do it. You gotta suck that shit up and dig that shit out the mud, cuz. That's my thing about it. Like, a lot of y'all niggas do a lot of crime. But a lot of y'all that do the crime, I be looking, I'm like, man, shit, I wish I grew up the way you grew up. Nigga, you had two parents in the household. You had two parents in the household, still married till this day. Your parents took you places, traveled. I never got onto a plane till I got grown, straight up. Everybody ain't privileged as everybody else, but I just, it seems to me that people who grow up who grew up in shit like this, they're more thankful. It just seems to me.
Significant effort to atone for the sins of your forefathers that made this country wealthy and put you in a position of privilege. It's very simple.
We as people, unlike other cultures, have not gravitated toward whiteness. We've always done our own thing, created our own music, our own art, developed our own styles and slang, which America as a whole has appropriated over and over and over again. And whether they know it or not, there's probably some curiosity, confusion, and even jealousy about how black people have gone through so much, been put down so many times, but have continue to be resilient and content in our own communities without needing outside input, which is also most likely why they put so much effort into bringing us down. Because white supremacy only works if people of color are subservient to them. Christian national podcaster Joshua Hames says Christians must be willing to defend the institution of slavery because the Bible makes it clear it is not inherently evil to own another human being.
This, though,
just one more screenshot and this SOP is finally done.
Is true. It is 1000% true. This narrative that white people twisted the Bible to justify slavery is false. In the Old Testament, it is made abundantly clear that Gentiles that are non-Jews, people who are non-Jews, it was perfectly fine and acceptable to purchase them and to own them as perpetual slaves and to own their children as perpetual slaves. This is chattel slavery. This is sanctioned in the Old Testament. We see nothing, not a word coming out of the mouth of Jesus or Paul or any of the other apostles that condemn slavery in any degree. We also see other verses in the New Testament telling slaves to be obedient to their slave masters. But even worse than that, saying the reason you should be obedient to your slave masters is not because you're free in the eyes of God and God is with you and, you know, to bear through the hardship and the injustice of being an enslaved person, but because your slave owner is a Christian. Paul said, if your slave owner is a Christian, then that's even more reason to be obedient and subservient to him because he is a beloved brother in Christ. Now, of course, black Christians who struggle with this reality and try to cope through this, they'll look at the Old Testament verse where it says that if a person kidnaps another person, that person should be put to death. But that only applied to Jewish people. This is very clear in the Bible. Of course, it's not clear to people who don't want to see it. Check this out. Exodus 21, verse 16. Anyone who kidnaps someone is to be put to death, whether the victim has been sold or is still in the kidnapper's possession. And then I said to ChatGPT, I have heard that this law was written specifically in regards to Jews kidnapping and enslaving other Jews, and this had nothing to do with the kidnapping and enslavement of Gentiles. What does ChatGPT say? That's a great and important question, and you're right, that context matters a lot here. Let's break this down carefully. So it, again, gives us the verse once more. The Hebrew word for kidnaps here is ganab, to steal, and in this context, it refers to stealing a person, often translated as man-stealing. The word for someone is ish, man or person, not necessarily specifying ethnicity, cultural context. However, when Exodus was written, it was part of the Mosaic law given to the Israelites for governing Israelite society. So while the verse uses a general term, anyone who kidnaps someone, its immediate legal jurisdiction applied to how Israelites were to treat fellow Israelites, since the covenant law was not imposed on Gentiles. We can confirm this by looking at a parallel law in Deuteronomy chapter 24, verse 7. If someone is caught kidnapping an Israelite among you and treating or selling them as a slave, the kidnapper must die. There are several verses like this between Exodus and Deuteronomy. In the book of Exodus, we see laws that are given, and then in Deuteronomy, the laws get refined and are articulated a little bit more clearly. A perfect example of that is the Sabbath, for instance. This version explicitly limits the law's scope to Israelites. So while Exodus 21:16 is worded more generally, Deuteronomy 24 verse 7 clarifies that the punishment of death for kidnapping was primarily aimed at protecting Israelites from being enslaved by their own people. Don't forget, these are the same Jews that were sanctioned by God to go and take women of other lands as their fucking wives. The Jews went into other lands, murdered the men, and then took their daughters and the women as wives for themselves, and this was sanctioned by God. In fact, the New Testament describes the relationship between Christians and Jesus and Christians and God as a slave and slave master relationship. But I digress.
I think it's insane that we are talking about slavery in big 2025, but it's come up a lot. And going back to the young Republicans' text messages.
Why do they keep calling us racist? The group chat members spoke freely about the love of Nazis. I love leaked messages exposed.
One talked about sending political opponents to gas chambers to quote,
"Why do they keep calling us racist?
Watch people burn now."
Text messages that were leaked from this Republican group chat are filled with racism and anti-Semitism. In other news, water is wet.
And text message thread, they said they supported other Republicans who supported slavery. And I'm just like, are people really still thinking about slavery and enslaving black people? Is that what Make America Great Again's plan is? I just really don't understand the hatred and vitriol. Y'all were the ones that kidnapped our ancestors and enslaved.
If you're a producer who hates AI, this plugin might change your mind. This is Reimagining Co-Producer. You can take any single
We're not out here saying we hate white people or making podcasts about them. Like that clip said, we just want to be left alone to do our own thing. Why are we everybody else's content? And that even goes to Charlie Kirk, right? Most of his content and most of his viral clips were about the black community. That's the same thing with these corny ass.
Yeah, the reason they just
most of his content wasn't about black people. I'll say that. And listen, y'all, for real, listen to me on this Charlie Kirk shit. A lot of what Charlie Kirk had to say about the black community, I disagreed with. But what I'm not going to sit here and do and say, oh yeah, Charlie Kirk was only worried about the black community. Man, Charlie Kirk had bigger worms to fry. And he was trying to fry them. He really was. There was policies, there was liberated white women, it was liberated white men. He was fighting a whole different fight, giving money to other countries, all this shit. You know, black people, you'll see him go viral on these black comments because now, since he's died, people are heightening what he said to black people. But notice every time he's having a conversation about black people, minus 1 or 2 times, he's speaking to another black individual that's probably brought up a black topic. You know, like I said, I'm not the person that was the biggest Charlie Kirk fan, didn't even watch him like that, straight up with you. I seen probably like 1 video, and that was off of Anton Daniels' reaction. And I believe that video, he was talking about the crack era and on how black people shouldn't have been picking up the crack. But it's like, why you want to pick and choose when you hold the government accountable? You know they put that shit in those communities for it to really take advantage of those people. I'm just saying this all to say Charlie Kirk wasn't really focused on black folks like that. You know, y'all issue is Young Don and people who think like this. Y'all think everything a white man do that is against you is racist. And I honestly think that shit is weak. It's weak as fuck. Like, white people gotta walk on eggshells next to y'all. And I don't like that. I want everybody to be them authentic selves, even if they racist. Really, be your authentic self. Don't do all this faking for me. Really. You ain't gotta do that shit. Now, whether I hang around you or not, based on how you act, that's on me. You know, you let me handle that, and you know, just be you. Really. Don't just go out here harming people and shit like that.